to the Snobs podcast.
Welcome to the Snobs podcast, everybody. It is Tuesday. I hope you are all doing really well. It's Tuesday for you. It's only the second day into the year, so hopefully by the time you're hearing this episode, we're all alive and well, and not burning up.
The aliens.
Oh my God, the drones may move to our sections. Whatever's gonna happen.
That'd be kind of cool.
I don't.
Paul wants some drones.
I just want to stare at shit while I'm drinking. You know what I mean? Like
They're staring right back at
there.
you.
That's fine.
It's always good when
shorts do nothing.
It's always good when drones the size of sedans are flying overhead everywhere in your home state, and it's just like, oh, okay, and the government's like, don't worry about it. Like, who just says don't worry about it?
Our government.
Like, exactly, and that's the problem.
I've enjoyed this new norovirus because I love how the CDC was like, it's a problem, but we're going on Christmas break, so we'll give you updates on January 3rd. And I was like, that's awesome. Thank you guys. It's important. It's a problem. Break. I was like, that's cute.
We'll deal with it after break.
Right.
You're not wrong. But if they thought it was a threat, it'd still go on break. It's fine. But so we'll see what happens in March.
Woo!
But this is why we escape into the world of movies and cinema and all of that wonderful
Fiction.
And I got to review Nosferatu, and I unfortunately did not hear your guys' take on it. Did you guys see the vampire in question?
I haven't yet, and I'm so ashamed of myself. I hit Christmas break, and then I died between Christmas stuff, which I traveled for 6 days straight, and then doing nothing. I just haven't managed to fit it in between there.
Well, then I know Paul is chomping at the bit.
Yeah, man.
And
So
I would
you guys-
love to hear what you think of that mustache first.
So everything I told you guys about Wicked and all the hype and shit, this is not that. This is worth the hype. It was absolutely good. Go see it. I will say, it was a discussion Matt and I had, and especially Sam and I, in depth, to where we were saying there's a difference between, for me, there's a mental difference between something I would suggest for a moviegoer to see and someone that loves cinema. This movie is for someone who loves cinema, because I think there's a defined difference of someone that looks at all aspects of the film in front of them, the story, the dialogue, the setting, the camera angles, and everything. This movie is probably 9 out of 10 if I just say from a cinematography standpoint. As far as just an everyday moviegoer, I'd probably say still a solid 6 or 7. But I wouldn't suggest my nephew who's just getting into horror movies, hey man, you need to watch this because he's not going to appreciate it. He's probably going to be bored.
Yeah.
But
It's more a labor of love than one of entertainment.
Well, then I want to say this, and Paul, see what you think about it. And Dan, I want you to take it with you and see if you see it when you go.
All right.
And I do urge you to go see it in theater.
I will. Yeah, for
everybody.
sure.
Yeah, don't wait for streaming. Go see it in theaters. It. Oh my God. It is wonderful. So. You have to. It's so dark. You have to. It's so dark, like in the theaters where you really appreciate it. So I will say this about it: when I was watching it, it did not feel like a movie that was trying to take place in 1838. It felt like a movie that was trying to look like 1920s version of 1838. The way they kind of lit it with flickers of this and the sharpness of certain lighting in the background and things. It felt like they were trying to mimic what the original tried to do with the cinematography.
Okay. So
I don't, my biggest strikes against this movie personally were that fucking mustache. That god awful mustache decided on for some reason, and I didn't think I didn't think it lived up to the reveal of the 1922 version, where he flies up, and it's the real big reveal of Orlok. But I do believe that the cinematography held up to the shadow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
I won't describe any of the scenes we're talking about because they'll ruin it. But
no spoilers. No
spoilers here. But what was also fantastic, and Robert Eggers is great for this as well. The musical scores. No, That was nuts. You ruined my segue. All right, time out there real quick. I definitely like that feature. All right. So movie scores, gentlemen. So we're gonna do our top 5 at the end. Let's save what our favorites are for our countdown. But I want to get into like a few different questions about movie scores because I coming up with my list, I listened to a lot of movie scores, and I honestly, there's some emotions that have been drawn out, and I started thinking, I'm like, not even soundtracks can pull out emotions like this
the same way. Yeah.
So I want to get into like our feelings about movie scores, but I also want to discuss like soundtracks versus scores. What do we think? What's more impactful? And stuff like that. So let's just kick it off and free talk about it. I know you guys are big movie score guys.
Yep.
Even more so than I am. Like you guys, like just unironically will just sit around and listen to movie scores
a lot. Yeah,
it's the best to write to.
That's one of my best purchases of the past year, and I really should do a physical media thing on it, Mick. I picked up a Manfredini recording from Friday the 13th 1, 2, and 3, and so 3 is the disco one, right? It's got the disco track on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great record. It just does the highlights of the first 3, not like the score from each one, and none of the John Carpenter stuff. It's all Manfredini. None of the Carpenter stuff, or not Carpenter, but there was another guy that collaborated with Manfredini. It's only the Manfredini stuff, and it's really good. I put that on a lot. I listen to that record too much, probably.
Well, you guys, so like it what is it about? And Paul, definitely.
Oh God,
I need your take on this one. What is it about horror scores in particular that really reach out to you? Because we talk about it a lot, and like I know other ones do as well, and we could talk about those, but I know horror scores like Dan, what you're talking about with Friday the 13th. So like, go ahead, tell me let's hear it.
So like for me, I guess they're iconic. You can pick them out, or if you're into whatever. Like from most of us, right? So you hear the score from The Shining, you're there. You know exactly what it is. You can't mix it up and be like, oh, that's The Nightmare Before Christmas. You're never going to mix that up. For me, it kind of puts me there, I guess, if that makes sense. Like maybe last time I watched it or the first time, or just thinking of that scene, or sometimes it just plays to the emotions, just like I guess symphonies do for a lot of people as well, where it gives you emotion. You can't quite describe it. It just, you get lost in the music and it just manages to pull out that side of you. So like, we'll just say for Shining, for instance, like for me, that pulls out like eerie feelings, like kind of paranoid feelings. So if I'm listening to soundtrack, a lot of times all of a sudden I notice I'm like pulling myself away from everybody. Like if I was writing in the kitchen, all of a sudden I'm moving upstairs and now I'm sitting in the dark, just with the laptop, just typing away, keeping to myself. I don't know. Just the scores just hit me different. Especially with The Shining.
I get that all. Same with me. Like they deep hit, man. Like the scores, I'll listen in the shower sometimes, and like it just, depending on what mood I'm in, you could tell what kind of scores I'm listening to. If I'm kind of like down, there's a lot of Hans Zimmer, Interstellar, Inception type.
Yes.
If I'm motivated, there's a lot of Rocky.
Heck yeah.
How about you, Dan? What are scores for you? Like, I mean, you're
horror specific. One of the things that I really like, there's a story from speaking of Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street. Heather Langenkamp's boyfriend at the time did the piano theme, and he goes off key after the third note. It's like dude, and he goes pong. It's like this off key note, and that kind of like thought process that goes into how they craft the music, that emotion that you guys are talking about that they listen out of it, it's very, very carefully crafted all the time. I'm not saying that's specific to horror, but how they go about doing it in horror is essential. I did a thing for my students one time where I took clown music and I put it over the top of a really, really intense scene in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, and it completely changes the scene. I just overlaid new music on top of it, and suddenly it was like she was an idiot and how dumb you are. Like that kind of like influences. And I'll say this, like in horror, part of it is the music influences the dramatic irony that's taking place on the screen. We are a participant because we are aware of what the music is doing. And so that dramatic irony that's taking place, where that separation between the screen and us, we know what's going on. We know what the music's trying to do. That's huge. And I think that's specific to horror. I mean, soundtracks in general, like that kind of emotional response, but horror specifically, music is an integral part to what it tries to do. And sometimes it's about the absence of it as well, right? Like when it chooses to play the soundtrack versus when it chooses not to. You think about Friday the 13th, the ma, right? And when it shows up, it has to do with the first person POV, right? And so like, I don't know, I love it. I just love that kind of feeling where it's like, I've been into scores my whole life that way. So I love it.
Yeah, dude, I get it. I see, like, I think I'm a little different though. I don't do the I love horror scores. Don't get me wrong. Like I love them very much, but I'm an overall movie type of guy, right? So like there's a lot from all over the place. And yes, John Williams is a big factor in that, Dan. I don't know why you hate John Williams, but
I just think okay, part of it, I'm sorry.
No. I get to praise him before you get to shit on him. That man's scores. I don't care what anybody says. I think he's the most impactful movie composer of, oh my god, all time ever.
Hey, a lot of people agree with you. Yeah.
I hate that condescending.
A lot of people loved Wicked too, so
I'm just saying, like Mick, you're not wrong. It's not. It comes down to like a matter of opinion, right? Like the biggest thing for John Williams scores. This is my problem: is he steals from himself constantly. If you listen to all of John Williams' work, he's constantly poaching his own stuff. And while he's excellent, I mean, he's obviously excellent. Like, I do think that he gets put on a pedestal that isn't necessary. I'm obviously in the minority with this, but I don't, just because you did Star Wars and Jaws doesn't mean you get to like stand on top of everybody, man. Sorry.
All right, listen. Can I ask you an insurance question real fast? If knowing that making you a co-host on the show is probably going to give me an aneurysm or a heart attack, does that mean that doesn't count as suicide when it comes to insurance, right? Because I just wanted my friend on, but your takes might kill me.
I'm sorry, dude. It's just part of the issue is this, that like that poaching, and then on top of it, people glaze the hell out of him, and like I'm not going to sit here and say that he's the best when I don't think that he is. There are people that I prefer. I think that Hans Zimmer is like the Beethoven of modern cinema scores. They're big, they're huge, and they're in your face. Like,
you know who else that reminds me of? John Williams.
That's right. I don't know, man. I like how Hans Zimmer. That's the thing. I sat down and listened to a bunch of stuff, and this is what John Williams does. He is movie scores for the layman. That's my opinion. And I realize it's my opinion. Like, everybody likes it. Okay, great. Wonderful. Everybody likes, boy bands too.
I love Hans Zimmer. Don't understand.
John L. Williams is easily digestible, easily accessible, constantly poaches from his own stuff. And it's not mediocre, but it's not the top tier either. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I think it is when I don't.
Oh, no. Listen, I love John Williams, but I think his music has had the most impact. I mean, because if you're talking about Hans Zimmer and others, like, they were definitely inspired by John Williams. You don't think Hans Zimmer was inspired by John Williams?
No, I do. I do. I didn't. I think
I'm gonna go watch Inception. I'll be right back.
Well, actually, I'm about to go watch Fiddler on the Roof because I didn't realize he did the score for that. I love Fiddler on the Roof. That's my shit.
Wait, who?
Your boy John Williams.
John Williams, really? Yeah, he did the score for the film version. Yeah,
that's fantastic. I didn't know that.
I think it's the Philharmonic Orchestra that's behind him, if I remember right.
I love that. Thanks for telling me that. That's a cool fact.
Just a little.
I was trying because I didn't know John Williams what he done originally, so I was like, let me look, and then I was like, oh wow,
like everything,
all of the shit.
He was like
great. I think, and this is my problem with a lot of stuff. Like, it gets glazed, and people forget that criticism is a key part of what makes stuff great. And I don't think Williams holds. Okay, he did Duel of the Fates. That is absolute trash. That is absolute trash score. like I didn't like it when it came out. Everybody remember it was like the #1 music video for like 2 months, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
But he did
Duel of
Schindler's
Fate.
List. I'm just
Now,
saying that's
sure.
solid.
I don't know what to do. I don't know how to answer you.
I'm
Harry
frozen
Potter,
Mick.
that's good too. I actually think I
If-
like John Williams. I should have probably put him on my list, but I didn't.
I
Uh-oh.
think
Hook.
that I'm
Hook. I
talking
messed up.
to someone who's speaking a different language, and I don't understand it. And I'm like,
I
what are
avoided
you
him on
saying?
purpose. Twin Sons is the only work that he has
Oh
that
my God.
that I would put
my
in. It didn't make my top 5. It was outside of my top 5. Twin Sons is the only one that I worship, and it didn't make my top 5. He
Okay.
just sighs.
It's okay. It's okay. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and nobody should get upset about that. Nobody should get upset about
Not
anybody
Mick.
else's opinion.
He didn't
All
leave
right.
him alone. Like I fucked up. I'm sorry, Mick. I let you down. Like
Why?
Because he should have been on my list. I love Home Alone. Like oops.
He did so much.
He did.
And
He's,
he really
he's
did.
the most accessible. He's the most accessible movie composer by far.
How do
I think
you
I got tired.
accessible?
Do you think he got tired of Star Wars? Because he did a lot of those Star Wars movies.
He did hit them all. Like it.
You said accessible. People were searching him out by the time Home Alone was coming out and be like, we need your sound in this movie. We're writing a movie that fits your framework. They wrote movies around him, and he always found a way. And you just said he was one of the most accessible.
Yeah, I mean, like anybody can listen to him.
Respect on this man's name. He's been
No, I'm not going to because he's not in my pantheon. I'm sorry, he doesn't make my top 5. Like
Oh.
I can't wait to talk about top 5 so I can ask you more.
Oh, we got
Things
more. We
about
got more. I'm not going to dominate the.
Right.
I'm happy to
It's
talk.
not anti John Williams, but it isn't pro John Williams either. I'll tell you that.
Okay, let's move
I
on.
like.
There's plenty more
God
people
bless.
in John Williams. We don't need a John Williams
Yep.
Discord.
Yes.
Killing me.
How about them Giants? You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about football.
That's tomorrow's
Kidding.
stream.
I have no idea.
I have to cut in and just say one thing. I've been watching a very depressing TV show lately called Billions.
Oh, I haven't heard of it.
It's it was a Showtime show that was on, like, it's over by now, but it like ended in 2022 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Giamatti was one of the stars,
Oh,
the
great
dude from
actor.
Homeland and stuff like that. So like it's a very good show. It's very depressing. Reason it's depressing is because you get to see the inside of what a billionaire lives, and it's like cans. I'm gonna go eat something out of a can. So like, but I say this. Here's what drives me crazy. They quote movies on that show all the freaking time. If you go through one episode, you're gonna get at least 7 or 8 movie quotes.
Are they Gen Xers? That's it.
Yes. Paul Giamatti, like
Yeah.
they're talking to each other in movie quotes.
I have a
It's
friend.
like
I have a
ingratiating.
friend that we could have an entire conversation and nothing but movie quotes, and nobody would know what we were talking about, and then we'd walk away and having a full conversation. I like,
True.
it,
But an entire cast of a television show talks to each other, all different ages and size and frames and
love it.
and genders and everything, and they just all know every dude. I talk to a lot of people, and not everybody has seen the movies I've seen.
That's a fucking fact. Like-
Fact.
So,
And
like,
I
and, like, the
haven't
quote.
seen as many movies as you've seen. That's for sure.
Look, it's a blessing and a curse because now I feel like I missed out on a lot of shit that I rushed to watch when I was young.
How you end up being a John L. Williams fan?
This is your first episode, your first like official.
We're gonna do another
It's
Snobs
true for
tattoo
in-
later.
Yeah, you haven't
Yay.
even gotten a tattoo yet.
Yeah.
no
I'm
chance,
not one of
Brand.
us. Join the cult.
You keep
Join
this
the
shit
cult.
up, it's gonna be a brand on your ass.
I have zero tattoos. I have none.
That's it. It's the only one.
Well, I mean, listen, if you want to get one, you can, but we got the mic.
I gotta
What?
talk to the other one about that.
Just surprise her in the worst way and get it tattooed under your eye, like a
sure.
teardrop, but just get the mic. Just
I got a question about soundtracks for you
Kill the
guys.
downloads.
So when it comes to scores,
Yeah.
what sound, and it, like, you can describe it however you want, but what sound stands out to you the most? Because my thought about it, let me explain the thought for a second. Do you remember that skit that Chappelle did?
No.
So he does a skit about different music among the races. You know, white people pay attention to guitar, like that type of stuff.
Mhm.
What stands out to you when you are listening to a movie's score? Like what sound? And you can describe it as an instrument or as like a general kind of sound if you want, but like what stands out? Because I think that really matters about how people approach it. Part of my problem with John L. Williams is he uses like crash
Stop
cymbals.
calling him John. Stop using the L like you know him.
He's my best friend. We hang out and drink beers all the time. You know, like I think his usage of like crash cymbals so heavily drives me nuts. And maybe that's part of why he doesn't. I mean, he's great, but he doesn't make my top 5 is because of the individual sounds that are present in his scores. So, like, what stands out to you as far as like, man, I love this? What sound creates that? I love this sound for you.
You go ahead, Paul, because
Okay.
I'm still catching up.
The first sound ever make me be like, what the fuck is that? I love it. Was Insidious. That opening score for Insidious 1. Because I didn't know what that noise was. Like,
Yeah,
man. I was like, what is this? Fucking love that. I used to
Yeah.
play that when we used to play hide and seek as adults in the house just to scare each
Scary.
other. 'Cause that soundtrack just sets that atmosphere like that. That should have made my fucking thing for a score. I messed up.
I didn't
Yeah, top five
include
justice.
any horror on mine. Amazingly enough, I didn't.
That mine doesn't have.
Oh, I
any
got one.
horror.
I got one horror. I got one horror. That's right. I got one horror.
I didn't. You know what it was? I actually, if I have 2 parameters on my list, it's I didn't add horror because I could do a horror list. And actually, I want to do a horror movie score mixtape episode.
That'd be
So
awesome.
you can
Say
add
less.
yours because you can add more too. And it's
Yeah.
a mixtape, so it doesn't have to be your tops. But yeah, I had to. And John Williams and that I went by feeling. And I think I'll surprise you with some of them. But before we get to that, I want to. I can't even mention John Williams movies right now because I'm like, this is like a landmine. It's because like I know if I say, hey, this is what made me feel this and this and this, and it's like you're gonna shit all over these movies because I know you don't like Steven Spielberg either, and it drives me crazy. I understand
Spielberg's
the
fine,
depth.
he's just overrated. He's just overrated.
I don't think he's overrated. I think he's perfect for what he is. Like that's I think a lot of people like because there are parallels even when you watch movies like Schindler's List and then you watch Always with Richard Dreyfuss. There are parallels to who the storyteller is. It may not be the same story. I realize it's completely different, but there are those parallels of like this. There's footprints, you know, of this director in all those movies, and I think that's just who Steven Spielberg is. There's always supposed to be that sort of optimism that he always adds. And I think he does it better than most, more consistently than most of those directors that try. Look at J.J. Abrams. Look at they're there. They've made impacts, but they're not Steven Spielberg.
Abrams definitely want to be Spielberg, but
I will say Spielberg is a better producer than he is a director.
we've agreed on something with Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
That's a first, Mick.
I think he would say that too.
He's a
though.
great producer. He's a great producer. He's a great producer.
Yeah, I mean, listen, but my and we'll do a top directors, but like,
Oh God.
oh, that'd be
fun.
I'll say something
It's gonna get
controversial.
messy.
I think there's only one top director ever.
Are you? And if I swear,
There's only one.
there's not true. All right, who?
There's Stanley Kubrick and there's everybody else.
I fucking hate you.
Yes.
Not Hitchcock, not John Ford, not Billy Wilder.
Oh, I had
There-
Carpenter
there's
in there.
Stanley Kubrick and there's everybody else. There's Stanley Kubrick. And there's
That's fair. That's fair though. That's
sorry.
accurate.
Pinnacle? No. I strike that from the record. All right,
But who's at the same caliber as Coop? Oh, we'll talk about this later. Sorry.
We got it.
I'm
We'll
not trying to-
that's another episode. That's
in
another
March,
episode.
in March, and I'm claiming it now. Our theme is movie director bracket challenge.
Bet.
We
Love
got 3 here, so we have tiebreakers for all the brackets. We're going to come up with our top movie directors list by that time, and we'll do a bracket. We'll do a March Madness type of bracket.
Love it.
There it is.
Peter North, Jenna Hayes, somebody else. Don't care. I'll just list off.
I just need you to make the list and send it. I'll never remember. So I love it, and
Dan understood.
Dan.
You know this name.
I'm sorry, dude. Like I don't care that it's controversial to have these kind of takes either, because like it's not. There's no reason to filter it. Like and you know what? If you're listening and it makes you upset, sound off in the comments. I can handle it all day. Like I'm sorry. I didn't like.
I love Kubrick, and I'm not disagreeing with you that he's the greatest director of all time. But Hitchcock, you're going to count down Hitchcock? You're going to
He's
count
got too
down?
much. He's got
You're right.
I have a collection. I bought a collection of Kubrick's, or not, sorry, not Kubrick, Hitchcock's films from the 30s, and ooh, like there's
He remade them and made them better.
some of them, yeah, but like that's it. Kubrick doesn't have a single movie that was a miss, not a single one.
I beg to differ.
I didn't enjoy Barry Lyndon as much as the others.
Barry
I'm
Lyndon?
not gonna
Oh my
lie.
god,
Sorry,
they filmed it all
Technical
entirely.
marvel, though.
Technically, they filmed it entirely in natural lighting, Paul.
He had to create a lens
sorry.
that he then gave to NASA to use.
My fault. Like I was just saying, that's my least
No,
favorite.
I'm just
That's
so
all I said.
excited to talk about that. Like, no, you're right. No. But as a movie, I get it. But from a technical,
Mick's like, why did I invite this guy on the show?
this is why,
That's-
honestly.
Like,
I needed-
the biggest thing that comes down to the other part is this. You were talking about scores. Every single Kubrick movie has a peak score to it. Every single one. Music is just interwoven into everything that happens in those films in a way that is dynamic and elicits that kind of emotional response. Okay, so the one criticism I'll have, and this is weird, I found this on Into Darkness Part 1, the documentary about the 80s movies.
Mhm.
Think about The Shining right now. The scene where Jack Torrance is chasing them through the maze. What's missing from that scene?
Music.
It doesn't need music because it's outside. It's supposed to be quiet. I just said,
Oh, footprints.
no, they're footprints. I checked that too. There's no breath. If
Mm.
you watch that, it's on a soundstage. There's no breath. There's no like steam coming out of there. What a miss by Kubrick. The man who didn't miss anything has
I don't know
no.
if that would be a miss, though. Let's go back and look, because I'll be honest with
gotta
you. If
rewatch
there is
that,
no
yeah.
breath, I'm surprised if it's not there, I don't believe Kubrick left it out. I believe
You
he
think it
left
was
it out.
on purpose?
If it's not in there, yeah.
Oh,
Let's look.
I
it
gotta
up.
rewatch that.
I want to. We
Are
have.
you gonna pull it
there's
up?
like AI Google now.
Fuck yeah, we do. That shit's nice.
Why?
Just Google old memories, and it's like, yeah, you mean this video? And I'm like, fuck yes.
Yeah, that one.
Yes.
But it's like
Right.
I think that. How about this? Okay, so here's a controversial John Williams question. Since we're on this with scores, did the movies make John Williams, or did John Williams make the movies? Because I think that's an important question.
I think some of the movies were already at a good caliber, but I do think his scores actually made the movies, because I feel like Jaws with different scores wouldn't be at least a quarter as good. I won't say half, but at least a quarter.
Oh,
It
what a
played a huge
shame! He got
factor.
to work. He got to work with like one of the, according to Meg,
tried to
greatest
think
directors of all
about
time.
it.
Like,
Why are you being a dick? Leave John
Who
Williams
Who
alone.
broke up with
Leave
you to
John
one of his
Williams
scores?
alone.
That's what happened. No, something happened.
Yeah,
In one of those movies.
Did some girl just like
Who
kick
gave you
in
the
No,
TV
teeth
there's
blowjob
nothing
in Home
to-
Alone 2?
Superman
Like,
was
what
on
happened?
her.
there's nothing deeper to this than I think he's overrated. And when somebody I think is overrated and people just glaze them nonstop, I go after him hard. Like I do it with pretty much everything. Like I'll still celebrate his expertise, and I think he's great. But I'm not gonna crown him. I'm not gonna crown his ass. I won't do it.
All right, here's the fun part, and I kind of agree with this. There's no Kubrick film in the top 100 movies of all time, in my opinion.
That's not accurate.
In the top 10. In the top 10.
For you?
Sorry, I fucked that up in the first place. So I'm not rewinding and fixing that. So if everybody gets mad at the first part, I'm sorry.
What would like 2001 isn't in the top 10?
Nope. And I don't think it should be.
on.
I don't think it should be. I'm looking up AFI from
Yep.
the original and the 10-year anniversary, right?
Yep.
I figured that's a good base to start, and like we can build off that. This may become its own episode, but so AFI's top 100, the original list was Citizen Kane, Casablanca, The Godfather, Gone with the Wind, Lawrence of Arabia, The Wizard of Oz, The Graduate, On the Waterfront, Schindler's List, Singing in the Rain, right? All right? And then 10 years later, they amended it with Citizen Kane, The Godfather, Casablanca, Raging Bull, Singing in the Rain, Gone with the Wind, Lawrence of Arabia, Schindler's List, Vertigo, The Wizard of Oz. Now, if I'm putting together my own list of top 10 movies, even just top 10 movies of all time, a few of those are going to be on there. Maybe, probably not all of them, but
not
I don't.
Singing in the Rain, not Raging Bull.
But Wizard of Oz?
No,
I mean,
not my top 10. Not a lot of those would be my top 10.
Yeah, but that's your personal top 10. I'm looking at this from like the side of like, this is universal. And I don't disagree that he probably wouldn't be in the top 10. I don't even know.
Well, his films aren't easily digestible by the average audience. So, I mean, like.
Oh, my God.
You motherfucker.
I can't be on this one.
He flexes so hard. You fucking asshole.
Jeez. Wow.
I love it.
Oh, that made me moist. Ooh. Ooh. Need to
Mix
shower again.
it together. Like this. I'm sorry, Singing in the Rain is not a top 10 movie of all time. All respect to is it Gene Kelly that's in it? Like, all respect. That is not a top 10 movie.
Listen,
Come on.
I'm not. It's not like I'm arguing with that, but even on the AFI list, 2001 doesn't show up till 15th, and yeah, maybe, but it probably wouldn't be in my top 10. I'll tell you that much.
I can't wait till we hear about top 10 of all. That's insane, Mick. Jeez.
All right, I say we work on it then, and
we'll work on that. And let's get back to scores. What's next on the docket?
All right. Well, I want to get to our top 10, our top fives, fives. All right, everybody. It's top 5 countdown movies. And it's the man in the picture. But the parameters I'm using for this one are I am not using John Williams scores. I will not be using any in my thing tonight, and no horror. It's too much.
John Williams either.
We know. Well, gentlemen, let's go and get started and go around the horn. And that is number 5. What is your number 5, Dan?
I got it number 5. Clint Mansell from The Fountain. The track is Death is a Road to Awe. It is the theme that plays when the space tree is in outer space. Clint Mansell is one of my favorite by far. He uses that kind of like digital synth sound that I think is excellent. He also did Drive, by the way. And so he did the part of the score for Drive, and he did another one that was really, really excellent. Anyway, I think that's a great track. The best part is that, like I talked about earlier, the score that he creates for that, and in particular that movement, ties directly in with the movie's themes.
Very nice. Paul, what you got for me for number 5?
Number 5, I mean, I guess it counts as horror or sci-fi. However
you can do horror. I put a parameter on mine.
My parameter are just ones that elicit emotion for me. So if I hear that song, I feel some type of emotion immediately. And that's the main title. I can't say his name. I'm bad with pronunciations, but it's from The Thing.
All right. Ennio Morricone.
Morricone, yeah, great. That's a wonderful choice, Paul.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And honestly, and on my main list, he was on there because I made a list out. And then what I did, I went and listened to the best soundtracks, though all of them included. And the good, the bad, and the ugly's on there, and that's Morricone as well.
Great, Morricone.
And it's hard to pick because like he was Kill Bill, he was The Thing. Yeah, like he did so many that were just truly amazing.
John Carpenter didn't do his own for The Thing.
I'm not. Honestly, I think he always wanted to work with Morricone, and that was his opus, man. I think he knew that. I think The Thing was like sort of like the one. That's why I think that we could have a whole discussion about like what broke him in Hollywood, but it's still one of the greatest movies of all time.
My favorite Carpenter film is not The Thing, even though I love it. I think it's a perfect film. My favorite Carpenter film is The Fog, which is not a perfect film, but it's my favorite.
I love The Fog. It's a fantastic movie. Great choice. So I chose mine by emotion. I sat down, I closed my eyes, I listened, and whatever I would like mark down what emotion I was having. Seriously, I put like teardrops next to ones that like got me misty and all that shit. So I'm gonna start us off with my number 5, and that was the National Treasure soundtrack. Got my heart racing. I felt really good. It felt really like, I always love those movies. So
is that Zimmer?
That was, I think it was not Zimmer. No, I don't think it was. I have to double check it, but What is your number? What's your number 4, Dan the Man?
Speaking of the fog, Carpenter's main theme that plays in the opening and the end, I think that it's so atmospheric and it's simple. I mean, like a lot of Carpenter's movement, it's super simple, but yet again, you see that kind of use. I guess I'm kind of like low-key neo-noir with that like digital sound a lot in scores. I really like it. And his is simplified, but it creates this kind of like haunting synth melody that takes place in the film. And I think it's not just perfect for the film, but I like to put it on when it's like actually stormy out. And I, like Paul said, if I'll be writing or if I'm, playing a game that really the audio isn't important to me, I'll put that on and it's perfect.
Nice. All right. And it was Trevor Rabin who did the score for National Treasure.
Rabin? Okay.
And what is your number 4, Paul the Man?
My number 4 is 528491, and that's Hans Zimmer in Inception. So during that time, it's gonna sound weird. I probably shouldn't put this on blast, but I was experimenting with LSD,
love it,
and reading Carlos Castaneda. And so this was a song I would use to kind of deep dive into my dream state, kind of meditate. So like that always brings me back to copying in my dreams and trying to control them, for a year or so. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, maybe not, but sure. Hey, listen, experience is experience, and I don't hate it. So my number 4 on my list is the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves theme. It's a great theme. Like, go listen to it if you haven't heard it in years, and I guarantee you've heard it within those years.
Yeah.
It's just truly fantastically done. I think it was Alan Silvestri who did it. I was kind of rushing through, but it got me all emotional. I remember watching that movie in the theaters as a kid with my grandmother, and I just got tears came in the eye for it. So I was like, I'm throwing it on the list. So that's my number.
Remember
4.
that Bryan Adams song from it?
Yes. No, I said score. Dude.
Dominated the airwaves.
Let's go on to our number 3. What you got for me, Dan?
Blade Runner, Vangelis, again with another digital. Blade Runner Blues, great track from that film. The best part of a neo-noir soundtrack is the melancholy that is associated with some of these like more somber moments that are in their films. And I think that Blade Runner is a masterpiece on its own, but the soundtrack is something that doesn't get the same amount of love. And the score from it is it's so perfect. And I often will play it while students are like testing or something like that. I'll put it on and I think it focuses people to do that. I don't know, controversial, but I think that the emotions that are elicited from what Vangelis does from the beginning of that film to the end, it was tough for me to pick a track from it, but this is the one I think is the best. It's the one where he's in his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I don't think that's controversial at all. Movie scores, you're supposed to want to put a vibe out, in situations like that. I think it's a good thing. As long as you're not vibing out with anarchy. Paul, calm down. What's your number 3?
I need another number 3 now. No. My number 3 is The Ice Dance by Danny Elfman.
This was an interesting choice, man.
Why?
Please tell me why. Because I didn't. I love it.
So Christmas is always a hard time for me. So this kind of, in a healthy way, kind of triggers my negative thoughts about Christmas time, but in a happy way. So it helps me just get out the tears without, I guess, being hateful on myself or getting too depressed. So it just helps me elicit that healthy emotion of getting negative thoughts out about Christmas, but in a happy way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome, man.
So if I need a good cry, I throw that on the shower and we're good.
2 people you guys have mentioned that I really wanted to put in my top 5 that didn't make it were Silvestri, and I wanted Silvestri from Back to the Future, and I wanted Elfman, and neither one made it. And I really surprised me because I own several Silvestri soundtracks. I own the soundtrack, and I couldn't fit them in. It really disappointed me. I was like, wow, I like these that much better, and I do.
Yeah, honestly, I think it came down for me. Again, it was just a feeling. And Back to the Future, I almost omit it because it would dominate. And I wanted to kind of explore more with this. Okay. I know that's going to elicit a response, an emotional response, because it means something to me. So I was like, I kind of want to experiment with this, though. So I sort of avoided it.
Okay.
For this list. But it is amazing. And they're both amazing, Elfman and Silvestri, for sure. But that's a great choice, though. I like that a lot. All right, both good, really good choices. I feel a little inferior with my next.
Get out of here.
It's a Scarface theme from Giorgio
Mordor.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even like that movie. I like
Really?
it's fine. I don't hate it. I don't think it's a terrible movie. It's like Fight Club. It's kind of like, I think it's overrated. It's like, all right, everybody just really
It's
loves it.
Got to be De Palma's best film, though. Come on.
It is not De Palma's best film by far, and he learned so much more after that movie. Give the man some credit. But I will say this, and to your blasphemous ways, it's a cool movie. But I think that Spencer's Gifts, if anything, had the biggest reason for most millennials loving that movie is because they sold the goddamn posters and T-shirts.
Oh yeah,
and it made everybody look like a badass.
Every college dorm had it when I went to college. I know that.
I know.
That's a great pick though. Like, and that comes from that 80s like Miami synth scene too. Like, I love it.
It reminded me of watching it with my brother, and neither of us being in store for the chainsaw scene. We were far too young to watch it. So when it hit, it took me right back to that.
Okay.
And it was just kind of like, all right, that was very cool. So did not cry, but just had a good emotional response. But all right, what is? Oh, let me change the stupid thing.
I cried for all the songs on my list. I ain't even gonna lie to you guys.
What's number
Which on my
2 on your list?
Number 2, I'm hitting back in Hans Zimmer. I know Paul already brought up Inception, but that wasn't the one I picked. I picked the time signature that plays at different time signatures depending on what level the dream's at. I think that it's brilliantly used in the movie to represent like actual events taking place in it. This was a toss-up though, because like I almost went with his Joker theme from The Dark Knight. Do you know that light bulb? It's the light bulb sound that happens in that whine that happens at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that sound probably once a week.
Nice.
Like it was so impactful for me in the theater because it set me off edge the second that movie started. You know, they're on the roof. It just dives you into that movie. They're on the rooftop and that light bulb sound happens. However, rather than like setting me on edge, the time track from Inception pulled me deeper into the film to the point where I was trying to figure out, I was like, wait, is that the same noise that they were just making in the previous instance of the dream? And then come to find out much later, obviously it was. And like, I think it's one of the most brilliant tracks that have ever been created.
Nice. You ain't wrong. What you got for me for number 2, Paul?
Well, we decided to switch spots. So this one is Death is the Road to Awe by Clinton Mansell from The Fountain. Yes.
Nice.
Great track, right?
Great fucking
great movie.
man.
Great track. Yeah,
Oh my God. Underrated. Not enough people have seen that.
You guys really like
with that movie.
Yeah, oh my God, don't do it. I think Paul, you and I have talked about this next one, but what do you prefer more, The Fountain or The Fall? I prefer The Fall.
Ooh, see, if I'm trying to make myself cry, it's going to be The Fountain.
That's fair.
But if I want kind of a happy cry, I guess more of The Fall. But I'd say The Fountain. I've definitely watched The Fountain.
Put your hands together, double feature.
Yeah.
Oh my God, cry happy, cry sad. It'd be great.
God.
So that's a good one. That's a good one. You guys, some good deep choices. My next one made me tear up again, and that was the Amelie score.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh my God, watch that movie. It is beautiful.
I dated a girl in college that wouldn't shut up about it, and so I instantly was like, "Oh, I'm never watching it."
I hate you.
That and Chocolat or Chocolat, I don't even know how it's pronounced. Those two, Amelie and Chocolat, she always tried to make me watch them. I'm like, I'm not watching it.
I'm not crap.
I'm gonna go watch Blade Runner for the
Chocolat's
20th
good.
time.
That part.
Good movies, but they are for a base. Well, Amelie, watch Amelie. It's the cinematography, everything gorgeous. I love that score. And it's so beautiful. Just watch the movie. Stop thinking about your girlfriends in college. All right, number 1. Dan, what's your number 1?
And this is truly my favorite movement of any movie ever. Howard Shore's The Bridge of Khazad-dûm from The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship specifically. I saw it live, performed by an orchestra while the scene was playing like in the background. And like, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. I think that Howard Shore is the pinnacle of scores, especially that trilogy. This pinnacle of scores that exist in any movie anywhere. But it's a perfect track for exactly what's going on in the film at that moment.
It's hard to argue that they are great. That's a great score for those movies. That's a great pick.
I got it playing in my head right now too, and it's like it makes me want to go. I listen to I listen to that soundtrack when I work out. Like
that's funny. My number one, my number one was a big workout one for me. And I was sort of like got the yeah, let's go. But I gotta go do this show. And now I see sun's out, guns out over here, and I gotta go get working out.
I need to hit the gym. I got banned.
Oh Jesus! I don't even want to know. What's your number one?
My number one is "A Whisper of a Thrill" by Thomas Newman from Meet Joe Black.
Meet Joe Black.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That one will instantly make me reminisce to, like, you know, you say a high school crush, you know, your first love, you know, falling in love with your wife. For me, you know, things like it just instantly just puts me in that euphoria of just remembering those moments where you're like, oh my God, like this is the person, and just cute moments.
Yeah,
I think they do a good job, and that's a great scene too. I love Meet Joe Black.
Solid choice. I do really like that movie. Very nice, gentlemen. Your number ones are really good. I really appreciate them, enjoyed them. Now I will say this: my number one, I used to work out too. Run on. If you guys could believe it, back in the day when I had working legs, I could run. Now I get on the treadmill. And this is a song I would run to, and it was a long song. The Gale from Last of the Mohicans.
Oh, Last of the Mohicans.
Good choice. I like that.
I absolutely love that. That sounds. And then I heard it again, just listening to him. I was like, oh, I just need to go to the gym. It's like I gotta go do something. It is. It's something that really motivates you. Now, listen, are these my absolute top favorites? No, of course not. I mean,
favorite's different than best, though. Like,
well, I don't think this is best. No, the best were best of 2024. These are just our ones we love, and I put parameters on mine, but there's some solid ones. But like, I went with just my feel on this one. I had a great time. I love doing those. I love like listening to them or watching the movies again or the scene. Really gets you like motivated. That's why I like these top fives. They kind of keep me honest and keep me looking back at some fun things. And I appreciate you guys' lists this evening. So
appreciate you, Mick. That's a good list.
Thank you.
I just want to go watch Last of the Mohicans. I feel like here's a controversial question: is that Daniel Day-Lewis's best film?
Yes,
it's the role I like him in. Well, yeah, it's the role I like him in the most. I do like In the Name of the Father. He was great in that, and My Left Foot. He's done a lot of great roles, but his early ones are some of my favorites. What do you think? What you got?
Gangs of New York. Like,
no,
it's like There Will Be Blood. I'm not gonna lie.
I love that movie, Paul. I love that movie.
Him and Paul Dano.
They were great together.
I love that movie so much, but he became, so as a student of history, I spent an entire semester actually delving into that time period, the antebellum, you know, like he became Butcher Bill. Like I did a whole thing on Butcher Bill. It was a whole 3-week research project. He became Butcher Bill. And like the part where he taps his knife on the fake guy and he's like, he gave me this. And he's like, I was like, oh. There are a lot of things about that film that are whack because it combines 3 different historical time periods in the film. Mm-hmm. But his job in that film, it's hard to equal. Plus, you have the 2 greatest actors that I've ever watched in the same film. Leo and Butcher Bill, man. Like Daniel Day-Lewis and Leo, I think are the 2 greatest actors that have ever lived. And like, it's just they play off each other so well in the movie that like it's really hard to equal, in my opinion.
Very fair.
I'm just kidding. I mean, they're good.
That's your bonus. That's your bonus on this episode of Top 5 Countdown movie scores we did. So if you're watching this as a clip later, thank you. Go check out the whole episode. We talked a lot more about movie scores. But before we move on, thank you for watching the clip if you are, but we're going to get to Mick's movie pick. All right. This week's Mick movie, well, it'll be out on Monday. As you guys may know, I made January Film Noir month. Yeah. I love Kansas City Confidential. You can find it Monday. Our classic film review will be up of it. Has some information about the movie, and you get to watch the trailer and more. So go check it out and find out some facts about it. Yeah. So that'll be out Monday. But this is one of the ones that I told a story about it in my review, but I found this by accident. You remember those old you could buy the DVDs in like the Walgreens or CVS or something, and they would have like 20-25 movies for the price of like $3 or $4. That was one of these we found, and we were looking for another film noir movie in this film noir box set, and this was one. We just went on a spree and we were watching them, and Kansas City Confidential is a really good one. Paul, I don't know how into film noir you are. Are you a film noir guy?
A little bit, yeah. I wouldn't say I'm well versed, but I do enjoy them.
You don't need to
start with the Maltese Falcon.
Okay.
I'd almost argue. Well, first of all, that's not the best. No. You haven't watched enough film noir. It's okay. It's okay. You could tell everybody in podcast land.
Okay. What do you think is better?
I would hard argue that either Double Indemnity or The Third Man are the best film noirs.
Those are great films. That's it. But like the Maltese Falcon is legendary. I
think he just latches on to something and was like, I know I'll get him with this one. It's a great movie. It's not even his best film noir movie. Bogart's best film noir movie. The Big Sleep.
Better?
The Big Sleep.
The Big Sleep is not better than the Maltese Falcon. As somebody that loves both of those books, by the way, love both of those books.
You can't base it on the
better
books.
Book. It's the better film. Like
Sunset Boulevard is a better film noir.
Damn, I know that movie.
Listen, I love it. I think the Maltese Falcon's great. I do. I watch it. I did a full review on it, but I can't get behind that. It's the best film noir of all time. Like The Third Man. Come on.
The Third Man is not better than Maltese Falcon.
Okay. I mean, you're allowed to be wrong. It's okay. But everybody should check out Kansas City Confidential.
I've seen a lot of film noir. Sorry, I just looked up movies that count. There's a shit ton. Yeah, my fault.
No, dude,
especially Blade Runner 2020 or 45. Fuck yeah.
Well, that's neo noir, which is like a different movement, but
it's a different movement.
Come on, Mick.
Different movement.
I differentiate between neo noir and noir. I do. I differentiate between. Are you telling me you don't? I'm not going to steer
Paul wrong. It's a subgenre of film noir, which is a subgenre of thriller, which is of suspense.
So much is happening
because at once it was like suspense and then thriller. So they're just offshoots, and I think that's okay, man. They can all be offshoots and branch. I don't think neo noir is less than film noir.
No, it's not. They're equal, but like at the same time, like I heavily differentiate them just because often neo noir takes on a science fiction like precept in the first place, right? And so, like in terms of that, I consider neo noir to be a subgenre of science fiction, and in specific, usually dystopian science fiction.
It doesn't have to be dystopian for neo noir, not necessarily, but often it is, yeah. But it's so all right. I would argue this: if film noirs didn't exist, then if that subgenre didn't exist, neo noir would never exist. But sci-fi would be there.
Sure.
But you need I think film noir being branched out and saying, and neo noir movement saying, okay, we're just going to do sci-fi movies. That's the branch, that's the, it comes from film noir, but it just says sci-fi wants to do this kind. Listen, I'm an Expanse fan. I don't mind the neo noir.
So Vertigo and Rear Window, that's noir or no? Yes, no.
Suspense, I would call more. Vertigo.
Dial M for Murder. Yes, I would put that as noir. Yeah.
See that's where I go with Hitchcock.
Vertigo. Vertigo has elements of noir in it because they have some of those. They have some of those shadow shots, especially when they are inside the offices. Mm-hmm. But I would say no. To me, noir.
I would say North by Northwest is more.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha.
You have the femme fatale. Sort of a character, but that's the thing when it comes to Hitchcock. You don't have a femme fatale. You have the femme unsure. He was so good at that in the suspense, and who can you trust in this, and who and that's why he
Rear Window.
his own offshoot you know, like, and this is an argument I make about directors, and like we were talking about with Steven Spielberg, is nobody did it like Hitchcock, nobody does it like Spielberg, nobody does it like Scorsese. They have the prints on
Nobody
all
does
over
it
their
like Kubrick.
You're 1,000% right, but we already put him at the top. Calm down. We already put him up there. They would put him up there too, but that's the thing. They wouldn't be great outside of who they are. They have to make the things they make the way they do for it to be their genius. Tarantino, and like those. We severely lack in that these days. We're hopefully growing it back.
We got Villeneuve and Eggers. We got Villeneuve and
Exactly.
Eggers.
I think it's growing.
Yeah.
Ari Aster, you know, there's some more. I don't love Ari Aster's movies, but he has a definitive look. He sticks to his style, and he has an imprint. Wes Anderson, another one. You know, so like they're there. And when we talk directors, it's going to be a really good bracket.
Oh, let's go. Let's
It's
go.
gonna be so much shit talking. It's gonna be a problem. None of us are gonna agree.
Oh, I love it, man. Because like, consider this, Paul. Like, well, who is the better director, John Carpenter or Wes Craven?
We'll find
Like, think
out
about now,
in March.
Sorry.
David,
My bad.
though. But like, that's the kind of controversy that can come into it. Like, I've had these debates with my friends for years now, and Mick, you have too. I know that. Like, it's
Paul. He won't shut up
I
about him.
think that
Sometimes I'll call him.
I think that it matters to have a hierarchical view, whether you're talking about scores like today or films or like a hierarchical viewpoint of what you're digesting is an essential part of being somebody who digests media. If you don't, if you're like, well, they're all good, man, forget that. Like,
No. We have to level our media. Okay, so like, let me put it this way. I watched a lot of movies that I just reviewed, like Werewolves with Frank Grillo. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Is that the same 3 out of 5 stars I'm going to give to Nosferatu? No, that's graded on a different curve. I mean, there's and I'll put it in a way that of the teachers there, when you'll have honors classes and then you just have your levels all the way down. And I know because in high school I was in basic. I worked for basic classes. I said that's my level. That's what I want, because I want the least amount of work at school I can get. I did the perfect amount to get to basic classes so well, I had to walk my ass out to the trailer knowing I knew all the stuff and didn't need the extra help. Did it. I didn't have to do anything. So with that being said, there's basic to high honors, and all the in-betweens. That's what I grade on. There's a level that it gets stuck on. It's Miyagi line. So Y2K from A24 is not on the same level as Werewolves, but it's definitely not on the same level.
No spoilers, because I'm just excited because my girl's in it. But what did you give Y2K?
I gave that a 2. No, I gave it 3. I gave it 3.
A 3.
Yeah, I was not going to watch them until this guy was like, "Hey, I watched them," and then now I watched them.
It's Alicia that's in it, right? It's Alicia.
Alicia Silverstone is in Y2K for like 3 minutes.
Oh, that's it. Did you see that vampire movie she was in? It was hilarious.
You're gonna have to elaborate a little bit further.
Oh, of course, I knew you're gonna say that. So she's in a vampire movie with another girl, and it's
Embrace of the Vampire.
No,
that was Alyssa Milano.
Yeah. Oh, this is like humor. It's humorous. It's like it's super fun, and I can't remember the name of it, but I had a lot of fun watching it. Like, anyway, I was excited because she's in it, but if she's only in it for 3 minutes, I'll probably be disappointed.
Is it called Vamps?
I think you'll like the movie.
Vamps, yeah, Vamps. I think it's called Vamps.
Yeah, I didn't know which one you were talking about.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's tongue in cheek about everything, and like they end up trying to unionize vampires.
Fuck yeah,
I love it.
Everyone needs a union.
Everyone needs a union.
It's like, but that was a good time. And so I was really looking forward to Y2K just because she was in it. But if it's not anything,
I mean, she's in it for 27 minutes. It's only a 28-minute movie. You're good. Just watch Clueless then.
Clueless is great. I love that movie.
No, I'm kidding. I do love Clueless. So I'm not going to pick on. No more debates. We have to close out the show. We've been here long enough, guys. Thank you so much for watching, listening, hanging out, being a part of the Snob Nation. Remember, if you want more, you can check out our Patreon. More is going to be coming out. We got a new newsletter I've been designing, so be ready for that. We have lots more reviews coming out, which are now going to be its own live show. You can check it out there. You can check out the clips over on YouTube anytime. Make sure you subscribe, follow, comment, do the whole nine. I want to thank my co-hosts on here, producer Paul and Smash. You can go check out Smash's new show, Arcade After Dark. Comes out every so often. Right now he's playing Chrono Trigger. And you can also check out Paul at the Sturdy Sex Emporium, where he will be stripping for the next 8 weeks. He is on. He's got a residency at Sturdy Sex Emporium.
Sure do.
Sex Emporium. Do they just review porn? Is that what it is?
Don't worry about it.
When the door goes up, you know what happens. But I just want to say, before we get going, let's start with you, Dan. You got anything you want to say before we take off?
Last episode of Math versus Smash was last Friday of the regular season, but I guarantee we're going to do at least 2 more for the playoffs. Tune in. It's usually Wednesdays at 7, but the schedule has been weird lately because of when the games have been taking place. Wednesdays at 7, Math versus Smash.
Just to add to that, he probably won't do a Super Bowl episode if the Detroit Lions aren't in the Super Bowl. So I don't press them for it because they get all depressed.
True,
but
it happened last year. We were very angry,
and they refused to do it. This is their 3rd season, by the way. But anyway, my man, producer Paul, what you got for me?
Hey, it's 2025, guys. Sickness is still going around. Wash your hands, wipe front to back. Keep watching, keep listening, keep loving the magic of movies, you guys. Stay healthy. And if you're sick, stay home. Don't fucking get me sick. Don't get other people sick. Rude. It's annoying.
Very true. Take care of yourselves the best way you can. Guys, listen, it is hard times sometimes, and I know things seem dark out there, but always keep the hope. Always keep it alive. Always keep pushing on. Keep on keeping on. It's very important. And if you ever need help, remember there are resources out there for you. Just reach out. But guys, until next time, I'm Mick Manhattan from the Scene Snobs. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, the whole 9 yards. And remember to be kind to each other in this year, 2025. We're going to take care of each other and be kind to yourselves because that's very, very important. Until next time, take care.